This session is going to cover taxable income reporting. The question is, what gets reported? What gets reported is the net of all taxable income transactions for all owners who have had taxable income during the reporting year, including inactive owners. First, let's look at the schedule. The reporting schedule is the end of January, copy A, and the electronic filing to the IRS for vendors is due. At the end of January, copy B is due to the recipient. Copy at the end of February, copy A is due to the IRS for the owners if you're printing the copies. And on the end of March, the electronic copies are due to the owners. So the electronic file is due 30 days after the paper copy is due. All right, so let's look at how 1099s get reported. There's a document on our website in our knowledge base. We'll go to that now. Under users, user access, under the products, there's bulletins. The bulletin for January of 2017 has the link to the tax filing information for version 12. It's the how-to document, and on that document it explains all the information about doing 1099s. On page 8 and page 9 it tells you how to do it step by step. Okay. So these are the steps that you follow to create the 1099s. All right, let's go over and go through the process in the program. You go to mailings, tax reporting, and what happens is if you've previously compiled the 1099s, it will bring up what you did previously. So the best approach is to, if you haven't done it previously, it'll then compile the 1099s. But if you're not sure, then what you want to do is click on all returns, reload the returns, and start over. And then all of the 1099s are going to be compiled and presented on the screen. On this particular screen, we have viewing options over here on the left-hand side. A reporting group. The reporting group can be all payers, vendors only, owners only, January deadline, March deadline. The way the IRS requires right now is that you file the vendor 1099s electronically and by paper at the end of January. The owners are due by paper the end of February and by electronically the end of March. So that means you have to do 2 filings unless you choose to file the owners and the vendors at the same time by the end of January. And you can do that if you want to. The downside is that if you have any errors that need to be corrected because the numbers are incorrect, then what you have to do is file a corrected return, and that's a little bit painful to do, but it's your choice as to when you want to submit to the IRS. Our session here is going to cover the requirements of the IRS. So you've got a reporting group. Whenever what you see on the screen always is whatever reporting group is chosen. So if we say vendors only, then only the vendors show. If we say owners only, then only the owners show. If we say January deadline for vendors, then it's only going to do vendors. And whatever you do is only going to affect this particular group. So if we reported right now, if we printed, it would only print the ones that are on the screen. Then there's a display returns. You can display the returns, all of the returns, the ones that are going to be reported, the ones that are going to be printed, and the unreported returns. On a filter, you can filter it and say, I only want to see those that are below the reporting limit, those that are reporting errors. And if you reporting errors for the vendors, there are no reporting errors. If I said all returns and then did the filter for reporting errors, there would be 2 errors that need to be fixed. So the limit 2 filters out the different groupings so that you can focus in on what you're dealing with. Then the other buttons, the tax year is 2016. Under settings, you can change the tax year if you want to. So that means during 2017, say in October, you could put the tax year of 2017 in and compile the 1099s to see how much taxable income people had up to that point in time. Also the minimums are the recording requirements of the IRS. Owners have the minimum taxable income of $600 to be reported. Those states that do interest on tenants, $10 for the tenants. The minimum for reporting the vendor payments is $600. You generally don't change those unless there's a change in the IRS, and then we'll probably have gone in and changed it before you did. You also have the choice of loading all the vendors to see those that have had no payments, all the tenants where there's no interest, all the owners where there's no income. Okay. The other buttons you have, you've got a set of buttons here, all returns. That's the same thing as all payers over here. Due in January, that's the same as January deadline vendors. Due in March is the same as March deadline owners and tenants. The reload returns button, if you choose to do that, it will load whatever reporting group you have. So if you chose vendors, it would only do the vendors. If you chose owners, it would only do the owners. You can reload just the taxpayer information, or you can reload the computed taxable income amounts, or you can click on Start Over. Start Over starts from the beginning, goes through and does all the reporting requirements and comes up with the list. Remember, whatever's over here for reporting group is what it's going to do when it starts over. If all you're going to do is update the records because you've made some changes to amounts or whatever, then you could just say update records and it would reload the amounts and not change anything on the 1099 addresses and so forth. Okay. There are, relative to printing, you can have 2 options. You can mark all of them to not print. You do that if you were doing corrections. You come in and mark all of them to not print, unmark the ones that you need to do the corrections for, and then print those or do whatever you're going to do with them. And there's a button to mark all to print, and that means everything will actually print except those that are marked as skipped. There's a button to order tax forms. When you click on it, it takes you to the website to do that, which is Promise Forms. Then there are the two main things to print the tax forms and generate the tax files. For printing the tax forms, you have the choice of printing 1099s, printing the 1096, printing substitute 1099s, or there's also a button to order 1099s, same as the button that's up on top. When you print the 1099 copies, what you have the choice, it prints one set at a time. So if you are printing copy A, you put copy A in the printer and print copy A. If you need to do copy B, which you do to the owners, if you're going to print it, you put the copy B in the printer and you print it again. And the same thing with copy C. The normal sequence is you do copy C first to make sure everything's lined up, or you print it on plain paper and hold it up to the copy to see that everything's going in the right spot and you don't need to make any printer adjustments. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark, to show you how to go through the process, I'm going to mark all to not print, and then I'm going to mark 2 of them to print. The reason I'm doing this is because I want to do a test and make sure that it's printing right, and in that case you generally choose 3 of them so that you print 2 pages. They're printed 2 per page. If I say now to print the tax forms and I go ahead and print them, you get the notice, you say OK to it, and you choose the printer. If you're printing copy B and you don't want the full Social Security number to show, you mark the box that says copy B and it'll print only the 4 digits of the Social Security number. And you only do it for copy B, not for A and C. You choose your printer, and if you need to do adjustments, you can do adjustments. So what I'll do is go ahead and print, and now it printed 1099s, and I can look at them and review them. Okay, when you're finished with the first one, it comes up and it gives you the same thing again. In this, after you're finished with the owners, it does the vendor. And if you do the vendors and then you come back in and print again, then you can print another copy of either copy A, B, or C, whichever one you're doing. Okay, the generate tax files, you can generate the tax reporting file, or you can generate a TIN matching file.